Hello, everybody. DAZN MMA, Sean O'Connell, the Outlaw Dan Hardy, and we're developing a bit of a theme here, Dan Hardy, talking to still undefeated rising British talents as we welcome special guest Smooth Simeon Powell, fresh off a win at PFL Europe 1 Newcastle, the main event. And it wasn't a flying knee, it wasn't a head kick, it wasn't a right hand. Simeon Powell with the technical submission victory. End of round number 2. Chokes Mo Amin all the way unconscious. An incredible performance. He's here to talk about all of it. Simeon, first of all, you've had a couple days for this thing to sink in. How you feeling?
Yeah, great, man. I've been finding it hard to chill, but I can't sit around for too much, so I'm just staying busy at the moment. But yeah, it's been great.
Simeon, let's talk about the game plan heading into this fight. There's trash talk back and forth. You know you're going against a guy who's got a pretty impressive resume in kickboxing. Sometimes that means as a fighter you want to show, like, let me beat up this kickboxer. Let me show the world that I'm a better striker than the pure striker. And you were winning the striking exchanges, but then we saw you in the first round shoot the takedown, move to the mount, didn't quite get the finish. You do the same thing in the second, and I already told the folks that you finished it at the end of the second round with a technical submission. But game plan-wise, mentality-wise, what was going through your head leading up to the fight and obviously in the fight?
Yeah, of course. Like my ego would want to outstrike this kickboxer and show everyone that I'm the better kickboxer. But my coach Ash and Brad and Marcus, they all said it's a tournament. Why risk injuries? Why you gotta get in there in September? So let's just analyze his game, see where he's weak, and exploit it. And the ground was where we felt he was weakest. So we just drilled this whole camp, worked on my wrestling, worked on getting into certain positions. And it worked out perfect.
See, I was thinking, I kept going back and forth because I was thinking to myself, well, the obvious thing for Simeon to do is to take him down and show his grappling skills, because we saw it before you joined the PFL, takedowns against the fence, back taking, rear naked chokes. And then I thought to myself, but maybe that's too obvious. Like, maybe he's going to start feinting takedowns and using that flying knee. Like, were you set? Did you know at the start of training camp that was going to be the goal, take him down? Or did you think for a second that he might be, banking on you grappling with him because that was too obvious?
Definitely. Like, I even had that same thought of, like, fading the takedown and going for that. But I think in his kickboxing stance, he stands very tall and very quite square. So I thought, if I double him, it'll be quite easy to get him because of his stance and how tall he was how tall he stands in the cage. But all those thoughts were in my head. But yeah, I just went for the double, caught my breath a little bit, and then just went to work.
So tell me if I'm reading what I think I saw correctly, because you're mounted and you're being careful with positioning, right? It was clear that he was going to try, if you postured up, it was clear he was going to try to bridge over, right? And so for a good portion of that second round, in the time you were mounted, you're staying heavy on his head, you're staying heavy with the pressure, and he's trying to build like a frame, and it looked like he threw a little miniature elbow from the bottom, right?
Yeah.
And this is, again, you can tell me if I'm wrong about this read, but then it looked like that upset you. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of gave the ref a side eye, and then you postured up and you just started raining down hellacious hooks. It was like he pissed you off, and you're like, okay, fine, if that's what we're gonna do. And you just unloading on him, and that's what ended up creating the small scramble that put you in a position with that choke. Did I read that correctly? Did you feel a little elbow coming up from the bottom?
Yeah, that was correct. He gave me a cheeky elbow, so I said, "You're the one. You're the one mounted, mate. So you're." Yeah. So yeah, I just kind of just went in on his head. Yeah, weird thing though, I noticed because of obviously the PFL layout, there's no elbows. And like, where the positioning I was in mount, it was quite awkward at times to land some strikes. So I think what I would change is I probably would have went knee on belly maybe and tried go for a DAS or something else. That's what I probably would have done in the first, maybe a bit more. But yeah, like the fact that he elbowed me off, and yeah, I just gave it to him.
So going back to the championship format, the tournament format, did you get a look at the other light heavyweights? Because I mean, every single one of those fights was explosive. Did you have a look at any of them during your warm up, and have you got any idea of kind of how you match up against them?
Yeah, no. So I've watched. Obviously I didn't get the chance to watch the fights on the night, but I've come home and watched them all. Yeah, I feel very confident in my abilities to finish all of them. I think his name Jacob Nido.
Jakob Nedo, yeah.
Yeah. I think he's solid, and I think it possibly, from my prediction, it will probably be me and him in the final. But no one's scary. You know what I mean? No one's scary. I believe in myself that I can take out all these guys.
We've seen this was not your first submission victory. Obviously, as Dan already alluded to, we've seen your grappling before. The thing that I was impressed with, and we talked about it in the Smart Cage after the fight, you had all of maybe 8 seconds to really set that choke up and slap it on. And when I'm sure fans know this, but when you hear that 10-second clap and you're in a dominant position, and you know you've got a third round coming, and he hasn't threatened you at all so far in the fight, it's a very easy thing to catch your breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
To just say, I'm just going to finish this round on top. I'm going to show that I'm dominant, and we'll see what happens in the third. That's not what you did, though. I mean, you grabbed that that arm triangle choke, and you squeezed until we watched the replay over and over. It was like 1 second before the final bell, his eyes rolled back. So it took you maybe 6 seconds to stop the blood from heading into his brain. I mean, walk me through the mentality of let's get the finish here and just be done.
Yeah, no. So I felt him. He was giving up. I felt like I completely crushed his soul, and he was just at that point of giving up. And I had that gift wrap. I had the gift wrap, and then I heard my coach Ash shout for the arm triangle. So I went to the arm triangle. I had 10 seconds left, and the positioning straight away that I had, I didn't need to adjust it. It just was perfect. I could feel that it was really tight, and then I just applied the pressure. I personally thought he survived, and then I got up, and he was out. So yeah.
How important is it to have the likes of Ash Grimshaw and Brad Pickett in your corner? You know, guys that have done it, guys that have been in the cage and they've had these fights and they've got a lot of experience. Because you found a home at GB Top Team, it seems to be offering you everything that you need right now. Yeah, no,
they're seasoned vets. They've both done it. They've been in the game for a very long time, and I feel like that's what I like. I like a coach that has coaching experience, but also has experience in the cage, and they know what it feels like to be in that cage. And I feel like those two do a good job. And also, I've got great other coaches. So I've got a great striking coach that I've been with since I started the sport, and I've got I've got other coaches like Coach Marcus, and he helps me with my grappling a lot. So yeah. I've got a great team, and I'm happy I'm with them.
April 1st in Las Vegas, the PFL Global season begins. The first event is featherweights and light heavyweights, right? The division, I think for yourself, certainly for a lot of people, is that eventually Simeon Powell is in the PFL Global season chasing that $1 million prize. So how closely will you be watching the light heavyweight matchups in the PFL Global season, knowing that that's still at arm's length, right? That's still probably a next year prospect for you, but that is eventually going to be in your future if things go well.
Yeah, no, I'm always watching. I'm a fan of the sport, and obviously that I know that could be that's definitely going to be future competition. So I watch those fights and see how I match up. And even now, I'm pretty confident I match up pretty well against these guys. But they are seasoned vets, and I feel like I'm getting a good experience in this PFL Europe format, just to get me ready for that global PFL season, because I think it is a bit more intense. Where I think it's 4 or 5 fights in total. Yeah, I feel like I'm ready now, but yeah, I'm watching and I'm definitely paying a close look.
How hard is it to be patient when you're undefeated, right?
Yeah.
Physically, you match up well with every athlete in the sport. We've seen a multitude of skills from you. How hard is it to be patient when you know that, or when you feel like, hey, I could compete with those guys right now?
It is hard because I'm a competitor. I want to fight the best. I do want to fight the best and prove to everyone that I'm the best. But yeah, it is hard. But I've got a great team around me that tells me, you know what, this might be good for you, and explains to me why it is good for me. And you know what, I'll always listen to my coaches and my team.
Do you look around the sport and the other promotions and see other fighters that you'd like? You know, obviously Thiago Santos has made the move over to PFL, but you know, the likes of someone like a Jamal Hill or, you know, Alex Pereira, he's I know he's obviously a weight class lower than you at the moment, but you know, similar amount of experience, you know, early in his career relatively compared to other people he's fighting. You know, could you see yourself fighting them in the future, maybe if they move over to PFL?
Most definitely. Like, yeah, I'd love to fight and I love to compete. And those guys, like Jamal's a world champion now, and I think I match up well against him now, in my opinion. So it's very exciting. The light heavyweight division, in my eyes, is very open, and yeah, I'm the longer it goes, the better I get, and the worse for them. So yeah, right now I'm chilling. I'm competing in PFL Europe, but my eyes are definitely like aiming for these big fights in the future, for sure.
I think this happens naturally, whether it's fair or not. When people watch rising prospects, young fighters who still haven't lost, especially, we have this tendency where we compare them, right? Lewis McGrillen the other night, immediately people are just like, is he the next Conor McGregor, right?
Yeah.
When people talk about Simeon Powell, the obvious comparison is for people John Jones, right?
Yeah.
Tall, long, like you guys look alike standing inside the cage, right? Like
Yeah.
from behind, it's like the big broad shoulders, the long arms, that kind of thing. So
I haven't got the skinny calves though. My calves are a bit bigger than that.
Well, to be fair, everyone's got bigger calves than John Jones. So, but like, how do you process that when you hear your name kind of in the same sentence as the guy who's consensus the greatest fighter that this sport has ever seen?
Yeah, no, it's an honor, obviously, but I try not to feed into that too much, because yeah, that's where I feel like a lot of fighters go wrong. They almost hear that and then they almost try to imitate it, but forget themselves. I've got to be myself and not lose that, and I think that's what makes me special. I just stay to myself and just compete and just keep on beating guys, not try to be someone else. But yeah, I'm on it.
Who do you like watching fight? Who do you look forward to watching? Any weight class, any time? You know, who makes you excited?
There's a few. There is a few. Obviously, those are John Jones. I've been watching him from when I was young. Adesanya, I love Pereira's style. I love even like Corey Sandhagen. I think like his movement and his like way he uses his jump knees and stuff like that. I like his style. Trying to think off the top of my head. Obviously, like you always tap into a Conor fight. Just like the hype, and like I do watch him and see like get some business pointers from Conor. Do you know what I mean? Like that's why I watch Conor. Like how to really sell an event. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, there's so many guys, but I feel like those are the main guys I'd probably watch.
How did you find it main eventing? And this was PFL Europe. This was a huge event for the company. A lot of promotion, obligations that came with that for you. Some people enjoy the media stuff, but during fight week, it's a burden. So how did you find it, in kind of really your first rollout as the feature main event fighter?
No, it was tough because obviously I like my own space in the fight week. Like, I do like my own space and just being in my own zone. But being dragged out of that almost and put in these like interviews and other media obligations, I felt like I dealt with it well. I kind of embraced it, and I was like, you know what, your main event, you got to do this, show these people who you are, and get your name out there. And I kind of just took it all on board, and I felt like I dealt with it well. And I didn't let it affect my game, if that makes sense.
It must have been the first time you saw your opponent so much during fight week, though. Normally, there's a bit more space between you and them. Yeah,
no, definitely. Like, I saw him way too much. It was annoying me, way too much, way too much. But it was fun. You know what I mean? I actually had fun. Like, I thought
he was a good sport, man. He was a good sport. He was good back and forth with the two.
Yeah. He played the role well. So I'm happy they made him my opponent. I feel like some of the other guys would have made it a bit, I don't know, maybe have been a bit stiff, or you know what I mean. But he lived up to the role, and he really he gave me some lip.
This is a question for Dan Hardy. If things had gotten real heated between Simeon Powell and Muhammad Amin, do you really think you could have stopped something from going down? Those are two big men.
No chance. I was thinking when we were doing face-offs on the bridge on Wednesday, I'm like, if I even try and get involved, I'm ending up in the Tyne. I'll be downriver before they even notice I'm gone. No, that would have been good.
It, man. Dan, I felt Dan's strength, man, when he was pushing us apart. I was like, whoa. That's the way.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a similar kind of weight for you at the moment. So that's not a good thing.
We call that old man strength, Simeon. You still have several years before it kicks in for you. So
yeah, I was like, whoa, shifted.
So what's next, right? I mean, that you've got another fight in September in Paris. What do you do between now and then?
Stay healthy. A lot of the times after my fight, I eat a load of shit, and then I go back to being a supreme athlete. But I think this time I'm going to look after myself, like recover properly, still eat quite well. Yeah, I'm going to have a few burgers, but yeah, eat was quite well. But I think what I'm going to do this camp as well is go fly out somewhere, because I'm able to do 4 weeks somewhere and then 4 weeks back at home. I feel like that's what I'll probably do. I'm excited because it's going to be the first camp that I'm all in MMA. Like, I'm without a job now, so I'm all in MMA, and I feel like it's going to be scary what I can do when I come back.
Have you pictured Paris? Have you pictured the walkout yet? And do you dare think ahead to Dublin? Is it, have you got your whole year planned out in your head? Have you spent the 100,000 already?
Nah, I haven't gone that far, but most definitely I've planned the walkout. I've got my song choice in my head, I think, and just the whole event I'm excited for. I'm unaware of the opponent they'll probably give me, but I have my kind of ideas. But yeah, it's more for me, once I know my opponent, it's like that's when it switches for me. You know what I mean?
Well, stay healthy. Have a few burgers, but not too many. Congratulations on remaining undefeated. Impressive stuff. We'll be chatting again soon. Thanks, Simeon.
Thank you, brother.